And this matter is scheduled today for a permanency planning hearing. I would invite counsel to place your appearances on the record.
Lindsay Dubus, GAL.
Thank you.
Carolyn Gaston, father's court-appointed attorney, Cervante Malone.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Gaston. And Ms. Dubus, you may begin.
Thank you. I do have a list of exhibits. Exhibit 1 would be a case service plan with attached parent agency treatment plan, report dates of August 12th, 2025. Exhibit 2 is a progress report from Alex Brito Counseling dated August 19th of 2025. Exhibit 3 is a certificate of completion for Cervante Malone from Alpha GR. Exhibit 4 is a letter from Carrie Alvaro at Alpha GR dated 7/14 of 2025 for Mr. Malone regarding parenting class attendance. Exhibit 5 is a brains neuropsychological assessment for Mr. Malone with a date of July 7th of 2025. Exhibit 6 is a letter dated July 29th, 2025 from Mary Freebed. Exhibit 7 is Mary Freebed visit feeding plan dated 5/29 of 2025 and attached as a feeding recommendation report. And Exhibit 8 is a CASA report dated August 20th of 2025.
Very good. Any objections to the admission of exhibits 1 through 8, Ms. Gaston?
No objection, Your Honor.
They may be admitted. You may proceed, Ms. Dubus.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call Morgan Foster.
Very well. Ms. Foster, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Thank
you. You may proceed, Ms. Dubus.
Thank you. Ms. Foster, can you please give us an update on the child this report period?
SM had her 12-month well child appointment on 6/2 of 2025. She did start getting caught up on her vaccinations at this appointment. She is currently up to date on her vaccinations, and she will receive her next set of vaccinations at her 15-month appointment, which is scheduled for 9/23 of 2025. And then she did have an appointment with a new pediatrician because Mr. Malone did request a new pediatrician. That initial appointment with the new one was on 6/23 of 2025. And then she did have her first dental exam during this reporting period on 7/14 of 2025, and no concerns were at that appointment.
Okay, and things have been progressing with her feedings, correct?
Yes, she is down on her feeding tube to 10 hours a day. At this time, we've slowly been decreasing that time on her pump.
Okay, and are there any outstanding needs or services that she needs referrals to at this point?
I don't believe so. She has a swallow study scheduled for 10/3 of 2025. But at this time, I believe she's in as many services as she needs.
Okay, and she continues to do well in the foster placement, correct?
Yes, she does.
Okay, and what is parenting time currently looking like?
We did start unsupervised during this reporting period, and then we did recently start overnights during this reporting period. We have had quite a few overnights, and then Serenity is currently with Mr. Malone, and she has been there since Friday due to an illness in the foster home and not wanting to expose SM to the illness.
Oh, okay, and typically how often are those overnights happening weekly?
We just changed the schedule to 2, a Friday to Monday, and then a Wednesday night. So Wednesday to Thursday.
Okay, and do the visits appear to be going well?
They do, yes.
Okay, and can you give us an update on Mr. Malone regarding this report period?
Yes. During this reporting period, Mr. Malone got a new job at Magic Steel, making $17.50 an hour. But he did report that pay is expected to go up with good attendance. He did provide proof of that income. Mr. Malone continues living in his 1-bedroom home, which I have viewed, and it is appropriate. Mr. Malone did start therapy with Alex Brito in the month of July, which appears to be going well. He is meeting weekly with a therapist. And then he did reach out about a mentor with Alpha. But he did report to me that it is only a monthly program, and so he'd only meet with a mentor monthly. He did say that he doesn't think that would be really beneficial since it's only once a month. I'm unsure though at this time if that is something he did end up continuing with or not.
Okay, and will you look into that?
Yes.
Okay, so you've indicated you've had the opportunity to view the housing and that is appropriate, correct?
Yes.
With his new employment, have you had the opportunity to discuss a budget with him?
Yes, we have completed a budget.
Okay, and is that sufficient to maintain the household and care for the child?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and what about emotional stability? It's my understanding that there was a psychological evaluation done, correct?
A neuropsychological, yes.
And did you have the opportunity to review that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and can you give us some insight on that?
It did diagnose him with other persistent anxiety disorder and interpersonal challenges, but it did not know any concerns in his ability to care for his daughter and the requirements of her care.
Okay, and based on that evaluation, are there any further referrals that you're looking to make?
No, not at this time.
Okay, and now it's my understanding he's attending individual counseling as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and have you had the opportunity to review that report from the counselor?
Yes, I have.
And what is that counseling addressing?
I feel like more like just individual counseling for his mental health and just his individual needs.
Okay. Is it addressing anger management or domestic violence at all?
I'm unsure if it's directly addressing that, but it does sound like it's something that they have discussed.
Okay. Have you had the opportunity to review the progress report?
Yes, from the therapist.
Okay. And is it your understanding that in that report, the reasons for treatment, it says he's engaging in counseling to address stress, sleep disruption, and anxiety related to ongoing legal matters?
Yes.
Okay, so does it seem that anger management and DV potentially are not being discussed then?
Yes.
Do you think that that would be necessary to address those issues?
I think it could be beneficial.
Okay. Are you gonna speak with him about that or make continued referrals for that?
Yes, and I can talk to the therapist directly about addressing that during their sessions.
Okay. And he's still working with his mentor, Mr. Williams, correct?
He is.
Okay. And what
The caseworker reveals big progress.
about parenting skills? What services were offered in regards to that?
He completed a parenting class through Alpha, which was completed on 11/21 of 2024.
Okay, and it's my understanding that was a successful completion, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I know that throughout this case, there's been some concerns in regards to communication with the agency and other individuals. Does that seem to have improved at all?
I think so. I've had no issues with Mr. Malone's communication with myself or the agency.
Okay, and is he attending the doctor's visit and specialist appointments for the child?
Yes, he has attended all appointments this reporting period.
Excellent, and how does that appear to be going?
It appears to be going well. We did start over this reporting period, the foster mom waiting in the waiting room, which appears to be making things better. I feel like Mr. Malone asks a lot more questions during appointments, and he does really engage with the service providers.
Okay. And it's my understanding that he met with Mary Freebed regarding mixing of her formulas and such, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and is it your understanding that they believe that he has a proper ability to do that?
Yes.
Okay, now I know we talked at the last hearing about trying to seek out some type of nurse or medical professional to attend some visits with Mr. Malone to gauge his ability and competency to meet the medical needs of the child. Was that able to be facilitated?
No, it wasn't this reporting period. I did reach out to all of the specialists at SMCs, and none of them were able to support or provide for that need. And then I also called multiple different in-home healthcare places, and they weren't either.
Okay, and speaking with her medical professionals that she currently has, were you able to check with them and see if they had any suggestions or recommendations as to how that could be accomplished?
One of them reported that it should be the court finding one as they court ordered it, and then another one said that they could possibly help if we were to fax over the court order, which I did, and then I never heard back from them. A lot of them just like didn't provide that kind of service, and then another one did more education, but they didn't do nursing, and so that was more the problem I was running into.
Okay, so do you have any concerns given the fact that that has not been able to occur yet?
I don't know.
Okay, and how do the visits appear to be going with Mr. Malone for these extended visits and the overnights?
They do appear to be going well. I'm often transporting SM for the visits, and she's often happy when I show up for pickups. And then she's often happy to see her dad when I bring her to him.
Okay, and it's my understanding that there have been a few issues with her feeds being short of what the medical orders required. Do you understand that to be the case as well?
Yes, and I did discuss that with Mr. Malone last Friday when I brought SM to him, and it sounded like he maybe didn't fully understand the order changes, and he reported that he would be following up with the dietitian that day. And then I even sent an email to the dietitian requesting that she connect with Mr. Malone before the end of the day, and she did reply stating that they did talk on the phone and connect and further discuss the orders.
Okay, and you said that was last Friday?
Yes.
Okay, so is that something that will continue to be monitored then?
Yes.
Okay, because it's my understanding if those feeds come up short, that could be potentially a dangerous situation, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and if that continues to be an issue, can we reach out to whoever necessary, whether it's the dietitian or whoever else, to assist with if it's additional training or something that needs to be done to make sure that we're not continuing to be short on those?
Yes.
Okay. And are there any other services that you think are necessary for Mr. Malone at this time?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Other than KRP, Kent Reunification Program, for return home at some point.
Okay. Now, are you aware that in the neuropsych eval, there was some mention of some legal history, it looks like involving Mr. Malone and a third party where he was incarcerated due to that?
Yes, I believe that sounds familiar. I don't have the report in front of me though.
Okay. It's my understanding that he reported that there was a girlfriend of his brother's that indicated he was intimidating, and as a result of that, there was a charge in him being placed in prison. Did you notice that in the report?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, given that, and then the continued history of this case with the need for anger management and DV, can you look into some additional services regarding those issues?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and what are your recommendations at this time?
It is respectfully recommended that SM remain a temporary court ward with a goal of reunification, that SM be placed in a licensed foster home or with an approved relative caregiver or in the home of her father, that Mr. Malone engage with and benefit from his parent agency treatment plan, that parenting time for Mr. Malone be supervised or unsupervised at the discretion of the agency, and that this case be reviewed in 90 days.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
And Ms. Gaston, any questions?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Foster, I would like to kind of not just gloss over some things. So Mr. Malone found a new physician, primary care physician for Serenity. And is it your understanding that he did so due to a perception that the foster mother was familiar with the other physician and was interfering in his ability to communicate and take instructions from that physician?
Yes,
And the new physician, then Mr. Malone gave permission to have the vaccines given to the child. Is that right?
yes. Or
And
he
now
did,
you,
sorry, he did start the vaccines with the previous pediatrician.
okay. And so, in terms of the doctor's visits, from what you're telling me or us, is that without the foster mother in the room, he's able to benefit more from the instructions given by the physicians. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. We talked about the feeding tube that Serenity requires. Is it my understanding or your understanding that that feeding tube, the 10 hours that you discussed, which is declining, actually occurs overnight?
yes,
And so during the day, I don't want to say that she's free ranging, but she's not attached to a feeding tube at all times. Is that correct?
that is correct.
And Mary Freebed has certified that Mr. Malone is capable of mixing the formulas and using the equipment, correct?
Correct.
And also you, or in your report, you mentioned he's familiar with the sleep apnea monitor. I don't know that she still needs that, but he was able to master that skill.
Yes, and that was discontinued.
All right, and in the neurological report, it indicates no concern about his ability to learn and the care routine or other provisions of care that his daughter will require. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that a couple of reviews of any type of feeding, G-tube care or otherwise, would likely be more than sufficient with respect to him being able to recall what he had learned. True?
Yes,
All right. So this idea that we have to have a nurse present for every single feeding in front, so that, and I know that it was at one time court suggested, is that in your mind something that still has to happen?
no,
And he has been feeding her, and at least from all care providers, other than the foster mom, things have been going well in that regard, right?
yes,
Right. And Mr. Malone and the foster mom don't get along very well. However, that's also now become a problem with the foster parent, and I believe the maternal kin interested in placement of Shiloh. Is that correct?
correct.
So the concerns that are being raised are coming from the foster mother and no one else. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes,
Right. With regard to this idea that Mr. Malone needs to go back into DV therapy, I know that you've been on this file for a while, but are you aware that he was in DV therapy with Otha Brown through the Alpha Men's Center quite some time ago, which Judge Rossi approved as an appropriate DV therapy referral?
yes, I am aware.
And so do you, because of a report now of something that I believe was in the petition itself concerning Mr. Malone's criminal history, is it your recommendation that we go backwards and reinvent the wheel, forcing him to take another domestic violence therapy class?
I do believe since he already did one that could be fine, but I think that it could be something that is continued to be discussed with his current therapist.
Okay, and so his current therapist has begun, and he's had about a month worth of therapy. It looks like he's attending and engaged, correct?
Yes,
All right. Mr. Malone now has supervised and overnight. So I'm assuming the overnights are not supervised. Is that an accurate assumption?
yes, yes,
And things go well during those overnights?
Yes,
All right, and you said you gave Serenity to Mr. Malone this Friday, and we are at Wednesday, so she has now been staying in his home for almost a week?
correct.
And what kind of, visits have been made to ensure that she is doing well in his care?
I did go there on Monday just because that was when I heard of the news of the foster home having the illness. And so I went and picked up some stuff from the foster home, some extra medications and her formula. And she also packed some changes of clothes and stuff like that. And so I brought that to Mr. Malone, where I did see Serenity. They were at the Children's Museum in Grand Rapids. And then he didn't have the feeding pump charger, and so on yesterday, I had to go pick that up from the foster home and bring that to Mr. Malone, and they were out playing outside, and Serenity was happy and smiling.
Okay, and with regard to not having the feeding pump charger, apparently we don't have a duplicate set, so, possession is 9/10 of ownership. Is that where we're at?
Yes.
And so when the foster mom transferred Serenity to Mr. Malone last week, Friday, she did not include the charger for the feeding pump. Is that an accurate statement?
I was the one to transport her, but it was on like an IV pole, and then the IV pole got left in my car, in which the charger was on the IV pole.
Okay, so it's your fault. I'm just saying that it was not something the current foster parent intended to
Correct.
retain. All right, thank
Correct.
you. So from what you've just indicated, you said KRP is the only remaining service that you would recommend at some point in time. What are your recommendations towards moving towards reunification today?
I am recommending a dual order.
Here we go. The father's medical skills are tested, and foster mom's criticism stands alone under tough cross-examination.
And that Serenity be placed in the licensed foster home approved relative placement or the home of her father.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gaston. I did have a couple of questions, Ms. Foster. I did read about some concerns with the nebulizer and smoke. What's your assessment of what this issue is there, and if there's a solution that we can impose?
I know it has continued to be a concern from the foster mom, but I personally, I'm the one transporting SM most of the time, and I have personally been in Mr. Malone's home, and I have never smelled the smell of either cigarettes or marijuana anytime I've been around. I think it's more just a scent of like his house.
Okay, and perhaps historically there could have been a prior smoker or something of that nature, but you don't think that Mr. Malone smokes?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right. So it's not a concern with his smoking, but maybe just environmental type contamination from the past or something along those lines?
Yes, I guess possibly.
Okay, and there's really nothing to do about that that I can see anyways. You know, I can't see any court order that would make a difference. Is
Right.
that fair? Okay. All
Yes.
right. And then secondarily, I guess oh, I think there were some current concerns about in conjunction with the nebulizer, some percussion therapy or concussive therapy. Can you explain that to me?
That's chest percussion therapy. It's done after her nebulizer treatments to break up like mucus in the lungs, I believe, from my understanding.
What do you know what that looks like?
I believe it's using a little tool and just like not beating, but like tapping on like the different quadrants of her abdomen, chest area.
Yeah, not a meat tenderizer, but something more like the doctor uses to make your knee jump. Is
Right.
that okay? Have you seen it done or not really?
I've seen it done by Mr. Malone during a parenting time visit.
Okay, and did it look like he was able to do it competently?
Yes.
Okay, all right. What about I also read an issue in there about concern about Mr. Malone's transportation and a license in his vehicle. What's your current take on that situation?
I have seen his driver's license, his car registration, the title, and his license plate. He originally didn't have a license plate on his car, but he does now. It was at first just sitting in the back window, but it is now on the back of his car.
Okay, all right. So that appears to all be in order.
Yes.
Okay. Have you inquired from WMPC regarding the possibility of funding or assisting with additional nursing support in connection with my last order?
They are willing to provide funding for that.
Okay, but they just don't have any contacts that they can point you towards to providing an individual who'll do it.
Right. I don't think they've provided any yet, but I can follow up to see if there are any others.
Okay, well, in my perception from reading the reports and also the certifications obtained by Mr. Malone is that because that wasn't happening or whatever was happening, he took it upon himself to go to the appointments, for example, at Mary Free Bed and learn the techniques from the relevant technicians right on site there, kind of eliminating, as you said, the need maybe for that nursing visit. Is that accurate?
Yes, he often does take initiative in getting the training that is deemed necessary.
Okay, well, that's great. And, if he is adequately medically trained, I was concerned that the only way he could do that was by standing side by side with the nurse and his child. That's probably what happens when he goes to the therapy appointments and things of that nature at Mary Free Bed. I guess, Mr. Malone took initiative and figured out a way to make that happen on his own rather than through any court order, which I view as a good initiative. Are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, those are the total of my questions. Let me return to see if there are any additional questions, Ms. Dubus.
No, thank you.
Ms. Gaston.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Very good. Then thank you, Ms. Foster. You may step down from the witness stand. Any additional witnesses or evidence to present at this time, Ms. Dubus?
Yes, I'd like to call Jessica Manning, please.
Very well. Ms. Manning, would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. You may proceed, Ms. Dubus.
Thank you. Ms. Manning, you're the CASA worker assigned to this case, correct?
Yes, I'm the volunteer on the case.
Okay, and it's my understanding that you've spent a significant amount of time involved in this, correct?
Yeah, I've been on the case since October.
Okay, and you have had the opportunity to visit with the child, foster parent, and Mr. Malone, correct?
Not a lot with Mr. Malone, a little bit with him, but yes, I've seen the child in the foster home. I've transported the child to Mr. Malone, and I've seen her in medical appointments in this reporting period.
Okay, and can you just give me a brief rundown of your observations and any concerns you may have over this past report period?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, SM is doing well herself. She's progressing as far as the feeding goes, as was mentioned. So she's not on the feeding pump as much, which makes it much easier for her to be mobile. She's taking her first steps. She seems very happy and kind of easygoing, I think, for a baby, and especially a baby that has as many medical needs as she has had. As was mentioned, there continues to be a lot of tension between the foster mom and Mr. Malone, and a low level of trust there, I think, in both directions, which does seem better now that they're not both in all the appointments at the same time. As was mentioned, she has progressed toward overnight visits with Mr. Malone, has been there now something like 5 nights or something since last Friday. I know the agency has said that they feel like the overnights are going very well. I'm not sure exactly what evidence people have or don't have about some of the medical stuff, if it is or isn't happening correctly. The foster mom, as was mentioned, has expressed concerns that the feeding volumes were too low in all of the overnights before Friday. I don't know what has happened in the last few days. I was asking her about that and about like if there's some kind of a log or something that the feeding pump can keep to show like the printouts or something for, you know, each night. Is it showing the volume? And she said that there's not something like that. That just like day to day, you can look and see what was given like the night before. And so she takes pictures of it before she drops him off or drops the baby off and when she gets her back. And so she had seen that the volume was low that way. She expressed concerns at 1 too when the baby was sick that he wasn't doing the yellow zone nebulizers. One time I transported her items after she had done an overnight and her clothes and stuff in her bag did smell like smoke then. I don't know if that was from his house, if they went someplace else that had smoke or whatever. I can't speak to where that came from. It did smell like smoke that one time that I did it. So I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good signs. I do have some maybe hesitations as well, just because I don't know if he has been assessed as far as ability to put all of the skills together over a 24-hour period to pace all of the feedings that she needs during the day, all of the water drinking, all of the formula drinking, the feeding tube overnight, the medications, the nebulizers. There's still just like a lot of layers, and I'm not sure if all those pieces are being put together correctly or not. I just don't have that information.
Okay. And are there any other concerns that you have?
I'd say those are the primary concerns.
Okay, and what are your recommendations at this time?
I think that my hope would be to add in, I know I hear that there's sort of this back and forth about whether he needs more medical training or testing. Like I would love it if there would be an opportunity for someone a trained medical person to observe over kind of a longer period of
Now watch this. Father proves he can manage week-long care, and the caseworker recommends moving toward reunification.
time just to see if those things are being done correctly. Otherwise, you know, he's making good progress toward reunification. He's doing everything that the agency is asking of him. He's participating in lots of services. He's completed lots of services. It seems like a lot of the pieces are coming into place, and you know, a dual order could make sense. My hesitancy is just that I don't know if we have the information to know if he's doing all the things correctly, all put together, not these separate little pieces.
Okay. And what are you recommending as far as like a dual order? Do you think that would be appropriate now, or it should be another report period?
My understanding is that there was already a dual order last time, and so I don't think that we have evidence to go backward. I think maintaining a dual order makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Any questions, Ms. Caston?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Manning, you indicated that you have been a transporter for Serenity. Is that correct?
A couple of times.
All right. And are you trained medically to do all of these feedings and know when the red light, yellow light nebulizer is necessary and all of those kinds of concerns?
Well, fortunately, in the 15 minutes it takes to drive her from one house to the other house, she's not hooked up to a feeding tube. She doesn't need any medication in that time frame. She doesn't need to eat in that time frame. So I have no training, but haven't needed to do anything.
And others have also transported and been allowed to have her in their care who also do not have that training. Is that correct?
I don't know if they have for longer than like maybe a 15 to 30-minute car ride.
Well, for example, the maternal relatives who are interested in Shiloh, they have had visits with Serenity, have they not?
They've only visited with her at the foster home, and one time they drove her from the foster home directly to Mr. Malone's home. So again, it would be that 15-minute drive.
But they have not had the training either.
That's correct. That's why they haven't been permitted to see her outside of the foster home other than the time that the agency asked them to transport for the agency's convenience.
Okay. And with regard to this pulmonologist letter regarding the smoke, that was prompted by the foster parent, is that correct as well?
That's my understanding.
All right, and you are not opposed to a dual order?
No.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Very good. And I don't think I have any additional questions. I do appreciate the thoroughness of your report. You did mention actually, and having said that, now I have a question, Ms. Manning, that you hadn't had as much contact with Mr. Malone as with foster mom. Why would that be?
I think there are a few factors. Foster mom in general, like, reaches out often with concerns. So that's one piece of it. Another piece of it is that I need to see the kids every other week, and the baby's primary placement was with the foster mom. And so being able to see them, that's where I would see both of the kids. Some of it on my part has been not wanting to infringe on the parenting time that he had. Now it's getting longer, but when he was only seeing her for short periods of time, I don't want to impose myself onto the time that he is spending with his daughter. Now that he's spending more time with her, I think it could be helpful if maybe I was able to kind of check in with him at his place. He's had some hesitancy when I've been there before, like dropping the baby off. He doesn't want questions from his neighbors about like who all these random people are that are like dropping off his baby and picking up his baby, which I don't blame him for that at all. So he seems to want to just grab her and grab her stuff sort of as fast as possible and get me out of there. He's not rude about it or anything. But I want to respect his boundaries on that as well. So, I try to reach out and stay in touch with him. I think he has his other, sources of support and places that he'll go when he has questions or concerns. He's expressed concerns to the agency and worked up the chain there, as well as at different medical offices. So I think that he hasn't kind of seen me as a helpful route maybe to get any concerns addressed.
Okay, not that you're opposed to it or that there's a conflict or distrust that's necessarily built up there. It's just kind of logistically, it hasn't worked out for you to spend as much time there.
No, I'd be happy to spend more time with him. He and I spent one long period of time together when SM had her surgery in April. We were together for something like 8 hours or something that day at Helen DeVos. But I haven't spent a lot of time with him otherwise, mostly at medical appointments.
Okay. And even during that 8 hour, which would be stressful and full of medical information and updates and things like that, seemed like the two of you, he interacted with you appropriately, at least.
Yeah, he was talkative with me. He was engaged with the medical staff. He is quite different when the foster mom is around versus not around. He's more, I think, kind of shut down when she's around and is less engaged. He's been more engaged at times that she hasn't been present.
Okay. All right. And she was not present during the surgery wait.
She was there before the surgery when they were answering all the questions and stuff leading up to it. And she participated via speakerphone in the conference with the surgeon right after the surgery, but she wasn't otherwise present.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are all my questions. Any follow-ups again, Ms. Dubus?
No.
Ms. Caston?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Very good. Then thank you, Ms. Manning, and thank you again for the detailed report. I appreciate it. Any additional witnesses or evidence to present, Ms. Dubus?
No.
Any witnesses or evidence to present at this time, Ms. Gaston?
No.
Very good. Then I believe we're to the time for a closing statement, Ms. Dubus.
Thank you. Serenity, she continues to do well. As stated, she's making progress, and she does well in the foster home. Visits do appear to be going well. I have some concerns regarding the feedings being short. So I do think that we need to make sure that we monitor that. And it sounds like Mr. Malone has taken the steps to reach out to the dietitian to address that, but I want to just make sure that that's closely monitored so that in the event if changes need to be made, if there's anything additional he needs to do, he can be informed of that, because it's my understanding that the decreased feedings or hydration can be detrimental to her. So I just want to make sure that we closely monitor that. But other than that, I think, um, obviously he's making progress. I'm glad that he is in the individual therapy. I think it would be beneficial to just make sure that his therapist, is updated on the potential issues of anger management and DV so that he can address those with the therapist he has. It probably isn't necessary to do something in addition to that, but, overall, I think the recommendations that do seem to be appropriate. I do want to make sure, I mean, it would be my preference to kind of monitor the situation with the feedings before we talk about a return home, but it is my understanding that if that does happen, KRP is going to be involved as well. So I do think that would be beneficial.
Well, how
But
long has
overall,
baby been home this time around? I mean, during this medical sickness at the foster parents' home.
I believe it's since Friday, correct, Dana? Yeah, since Friday.
Okay. All right. So we're we've had a impromptu, as it were, but nonetheless a 5 days with overnights visit. And well, I mean, I'm not a medical professional, but that baby sitting on Mr. Malone's lap looks happy and healthy to me. So okay, no,
So,
you can continue, Ms. Duba. Sorry to
okay.
interrupt.
No, that's all. That's all I had anyway. So at that, other than that, I think that the recommendations appear to be appropriate.
Very good, Ms. Gaston.
Thank you, Your Honor. I too believe that the dual order and other recommendations appear to be appropriate. Mr. Malone has been through a long haul. I'm hoping that soon we would have a more consistent return home than this 5-day return home. But it does appear to me to be appropriate that we're moving in the right direction. So thank
Well,
you,
in
Your Honor.
my opinion is as long as I keep a dual order in place and we are talking about KRP getting involved, that generally does involve increased home visits and lays the groundwork for reunification. Am I correct about kind of the direction that these orders are heading?
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
Okay, no, that was my takeaway as well. All right, well, thank you, Ms. Gaston. I'm sorry if I interrupted. Anything else?
No, nothing further.
Okay. All right. Well, this is a permanency planning hearing, so I do need to make some findings. And the first is that return of now, as I said, baby looks healthy at home, as I've seen now, and this, kind of either providentially or um, in a practical sense, gives me an opportunity to say, well, Mr. Malone can take the medical steps needed to keep baby thriving for a 5-day period. And that is great reassurance to me that if he can do it for 5 days, well, then he could probably do it for a longer stretch and ultimately through reunification. Because as I've stated from the outset of this case, the number one concern of mine with a medically fragile child is, of course, that whose ever care the child winds up placed in, a parent, foster parent, adoptive home, is able to provide for the needs to keep the child alive. And that's the fundamental bottom line with medically fragile children. Now, that being said, different people obviously have different perspectives. The pulmonologist being a good example. I can't identify any pulmonologist ever that I've met that wouldn't say any amount of cigarette smoke, secondhand, residual, whatever.
Things get tense as foster mom raises smoke and therapy claims, but the judge isn't buying what doesn't add up.
It might be would be terrible for anyone, not just a baby. None of us should be exposed to that. That's the consensus among the medical community, and certainly a pulmonologist who constantly addresses smoking-related illness, would be of that opinion. However, smoking's legal in society. It is entirely possible that on a visit, to a grandma or relative's house, any child might be exposed briefly to cigarette smoke, as I was as a child. My mother's mom, my maternal grandmother, smoked and smoked constantly in her car, in her house, everywhere else. But I'm still grateful, even though my mother was an ardent anti-smoking person, that she allowed me to spend time with my grandmother and develop that relationship. So, though undoubtedly it would be best if there were no smoke exposure, I'm unconvinced that the degree of smoke exposure, and secondary smoke exposure described in the reports is of a concern to make a change of direction in this case. And likewise, feeding and hydration. It appears that Mr. Malone has, done great work in attempting to educate himself about both the amount of feeding and the working of the feeding tube and the cleaning of the feeding tube, and also, of course, along with that, the appropriate hydration levels for SM. That stuff is not easier. I couldn't do that to save my soul with a baby. So I really commend Mr. Malone in picking up a lot of medical information in a short time as to the care needed for SM here. It shows me that he is committed to that. He's not treating this as something that's not serious or that, you know, can be blown off, but rather the opposite. He's taking it seriously and trying to do his best at it. Now, obviously, the amount of feeding and hydration levels are important. I don't think for a second that Mr. Malone is, intentionally either underfeeding or underhydrating his daughter. However, would it be easy to make a mistake in such a matter and inadvertently, be too low on a feeding or perhaps even too low on hydration? Although I will note the little girl is gaining ability to express herself a little more. I have no doubt if she does need some more food or hydration. And I did note in the report that she was eating a little bit of people food, as they say, when it's appropriately ground up and, presented to her. She's going to be able to, before too much longer, unlike a newborn, make her desires known when she's hungry. And of course, a watchful parent usually can tell if baby's dehydrated or underfed. There are obvious signs of that. One being a very uncomfortable and fussy baby sometimes, and other things, if a baby was dehydrated, lethargy, and things of that nature that a parent would notice. And I think, from everything I've seen from Mr. Malone, he is determined to gain those skills and recognize those things. Sometimes the medical issues, like with respiration and tracheostomy, are so acute that, an error of, a minute, 90 seconds or 2 minutes, is life endangering to the child. And fortunately, it appears that through the good care of foster mom and the medical community, and now Mr. Malone, little SM is growing stronger and able to endure. She's at least on the verge of discontinuing. I saw some of the I think the apnea monitoring at nighttime because she is getting stronger. Her systems are getting stronger. She's getting better at that, and that's a credit to everyone. She has been in the care of since the time she was born, with so many medical crises going on. So, and I guess the good news there is, well, what does that do? Well, perhaps it creates, what I'm going to call is a little more cushion for error by anyone taking care of her, and that whether it be foster mom or a wrong decision by a doctor or an error by Mr. Malone, well, if she was 10% low on food, or for a day or two, that's not going to be life endangering like the breathing tube situation I described earlier. And that's reassuring to me. And I said it's a credit to everyone who's had care for little SM throughout this very lengthy process, and also to the agency overseeing it. So I do believe that it returned full-time today. I would like to see a continuation of exactly what I'm seeing. Mr. Malone going to those appointments. I think about it, Mr. Malone, and frankly, last hearing, I said, I want you to make every single medical appointment, every single parenting time, and I want all those vaccinations given, because, the lack of that, if those things aren't in place, I don't believe you really want a parent here. Well, you did it. You knocked it out of the park. You hit the proverbial home run in the bottom of the ninth inning, and you did every single thing that I asked. And, that shows me that you do want a parent. You do want to parent your daughter, and not only parent her, but you want to medically and emotionally and setting wise in your home want to do what's right by her, and that's a huge reassurance to me that you're doing what parents do for their kids. And so I'm very proud of everything you've accomplished, and very happy that you did that. I can tell you, I've sat with 9 parents out of 10. I give them the same spiel, and they come back with excuses as to why they couldn't, or they don't show up after that. So you've done an excellent job. I'm extremely pleased with all the effort you've put into this case. I do find that the agency has made reasonable efforts to finalize the permanency plan, and I'm going to keep that at reunification with the current dual order in place. And I do not find that termination of Mr. Malone's rights would be appropriate or in the best interests of SM at this time. He's shown the opposite, that he really wants to parent his child and take responsibility for her, along with all of her, very intense medical situations, and, has done an admirable job of advocating both for himself and for his child by, getting matched up with the right medical professionals who he feels like he can talk to and get that information from. So I would like to see that. I do think that Mr. Malone's any concerns about DV, those appear to be old. Don't forget, this case came into care because of horrendous abuse by mom, but nothing that was attributed to Mr. Malone in that relationship. There wasn't a dual situation. He did not prevent the abuse to older sister, who has already he's relinquished the older sister who mom has been terminated towards. However, he wasn't a perpetrator or convicted of any of that abuse. His error was allowing that abuse to occur at the hands of mom. And, the other domestic violence seems to be, with adult partners. It didn't, unless I'm missing something here in the file, wasn't domestic violence towards children or young, people in the house. It was fighting with a domestic partner right now. Again, to credit Mr. Malone, I know there was, some concern at the outset of the case that he was going to try to continue the relationship with mom. There's another scenario where I told him there was just no way that was going to happen and reunification was going to occur. And it appears from everyone I've heard from here, I haven't heard a single person say, yeah, it looks like maybe that's still going on, or we saw some of mom's clothes at his house or whatever. Usually when that's happening, although I'm not perfect at this, the agency or some of the people involved with the case pick up on it, and I haven't seen a single hint of anything between Mr. Malone and Miss Burkholder. So again, credit to Mr. Malone for doing the things directed to do by the agency and ultimately by the court's order to achieve reunification with SM. So at this time, my order will be that SM remain a temporary court ward with the goal of reunification. A dual order will remain in place, allowing care by foster mom or by Mr. Malone in this case. And our goal will remain reunification at this time. Anything else I need to place on the record at this time, Ms. Dubus?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Gaston?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Very good. Well, thank you all. Again, a lot of information in this hearing. Again, I don't, an important thing here is, and I won't lose sight of it, is that, we wouldn't have got to where we are today without the dedicated efforts of Ms. Scott as a very caring and compassionate and detail-oriented foster parent in helping this little girl with so many needs all along. And it's unfortunate that she and Mr. Malone, have developed a somewhat adversarial relationship, because one thing they share in common is a love for this little girl and a desire to see the outcome be good. And I don't want anything that Mr. Malone accomplishes to be a detriment to Ms. Scott's efforts. She's done again, over and above in a case here to benefit a very fragile child. And I see the trajectory of this case, being an excellent one. And like I say, it's not due to any one person, or certainly not due to myself. It's due to a team effort. And we, had an agency change in the middle of this because I deemed the original agency wasn't able to handle it. And I'm grateful that Catholic Charities has been on top of it and providing the details. So grateful for everyone involved with that work included.
Do we have a next date, Your Honor?
Oh, sorry about that. We should, yes. And the person that will give that is going to be Lisa.
Yes, November 26th at 11 o'clock on Zoom.
Thank you.
The judge delivers the verdict, father praised, rights protected, and reunification stays the goal. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.